Okay, uh, I think we're going to get started. Just so everybody knows, the webinar is being recorded. So if you miss something or if you have to leave early and you want to get the piece, we're going to mail that out to everybody afterwards so that you'll have access to that. But I want to welcome everybody and thank you for being here to learn about Boone Mail Plus, which is our new omni-channel marketing tool, which is designed to help increase engagement and offer a higher return on investment to your direct mail campaigns. My name is Rob Grayson, and let's see if I can advance my slides. uh, no, there we go.
Yep.
My name is Rob Grayson, and I'm the creative director here at Boone Graphics. I've been here for about 11 years. Before joining the Boone team, I was a professional fundraiser and consultant for about 24 years, working with nonprofits all over the country. So today in our webinar, we're going to specifically focus more on nonprofits, but this omni-channel marketing tool is awesome for just about any industry. But again, we've kind of set this one aside in the series of webinars that we've been doing to specifically focus on solutions for nonprofits. And it's something that means a lot to me, given my background. I spend a good part of my days every day working with nonprofits, figuring out strategy around their campaign and outreach goals. And so I will try to give a little bit of narrative around how this tool can be helpful in that way. And I also want to mention that I do a webinar and a lunch and learn in person around direct mail fundraising. My tool doesn't want to go forward. There we go. Was that you, Terry, or me?
I clicked it.
Yeah, it's not letting me advance, so I might have to ask you to do so. But we'll make it happen. So I do a piece on successful direct mail fundraising campaigns, and since that is specifically around direct mail and how to do that really well, this tool marries perfectly with that. And so we're going to talk to you about how those things can happen. But before we do, I want to just go over the high points around keys to successful year-end campaigns that I get into a lot of detail in that other webinar, but they're pertinent to the discussion today. So most importantly, you got to make a plan. Without a plan, you're not going to be able to execute any of this. And then the next piece of that is to set a goal. Without a goal, you're not going to be able to get there. If you don't know how much you need to raise, you're not going to be able to raise it. You also want to build a matrix. And if you want to understand how to build a really good matrix, or even what a matrix is, and it's not the one with Neo and all of those folks, I talk about that a lot in the webinar around that. But it's really a graph or a spreadsheet that tells you how many gifts at every level that you need to be able to reach your goal. And that means you go into your campaign knowing that you physically have the base or database of people to get to your goal. So that makes fundraising a lot more successful when you know that. And then when you go to build your direct mail piece, you want to make sure that you're crafting strong messaging that incorporates really good copy that's clear and concise, and imagery that helps you communicate your message, because people read and absorb information in a lot of different ways. And so you want to be able to write for people who skim that piece, who read it from beginning to end, and people who just pick it up and look at it and are deciding what it is before they even look at any of the copy or content that's in there. And then in your messaging, you want to be clear about what you need. And that goes back to setting your goal. If you need to raise $100,000, you should probably say that in your letter, because people need to know their gift, how it's going to impact your campaign. So you want to tell people what you're trying to do. And then I always tell people you want to ask more than once. Just sending out a direct mail piece and hoping that works is never a really successful way about going about the fundraising practice. You really want to have a plan, and part of that plan should be asking more than once. And this tool that we're going to talk about today really helps you elevate the visibility of your campaign. And then if you did nothing else other than send out a letter, the second most important thing you should do is thank donors. It's the number one thing I hear from donors, that they feel like they're underappreciated and don't get thanked properly. So thanking your donors for their current contribution and future giving is incredibly important to successful fundraising. So once you've done all of that, you're going to have this direct mail piece, and we're going to talk a little bit about why direct mail is really one of the best ways to do fundraising and to do any kind of marketing. So why direct mail works, it's tangible and it's memorable. Every year, actually every day, about, I think, what is it, 12 million? Is that the next little thing that comes up? There we go. 12 million direct mail marketing pieces are sent every day in the United States, which is a little bit crazy. And the lifespan of that piece is about 17 days, which is kind of impressive, which means people are getting that stuff and they're holding on to it because there's something interesting there. Conversely, about 40 billion emails are sent every day, and the lifespan is about 2 seconds, which if you're like me, I get up every morning, I look at my email, and I'm pretty much swiping to clear out anything that is not important or interesting to me, which means that it's less than 2 seconds oftentimes. So direct mail, way more tangible. So it's tangible and memorable. It's also targeted outreach. It has less competition, which is what we just described in talking about the competition between email and direct mail. Has a way higher engagement rate. And the ability to personalize it can actually help you raise more money. And I want to say something about that. And it feeds into that return on investment. Your personalization ability, there's one little tool that I talk about in the webinar around good direct mail fundraising, which I'm going to talk about real quickly here, that can help you really take your mid-range or low dollar donors and move them up every year. And that is using a variable ask ladder that is custom to the person that you're asking for a gift. So let's just say all of your donors under 1,000, instead of giving them an ask ladder on the remit coupon that says like 50, 100, 500, 1,000, which is very, very typical, instead start where they left off last time. So you know their last gift amount for their last annual gift. Let's say it was $100. Can we count on your gift of $100? And then make that ask ladder personal. A 10%, 20%, 30%, and 50% increase. So it looks something like, can we count on your gift of $100? Or the next box would be 110, 120, 130, 150. That little customized piece of the ask ladder will push all of those donors up, because I can guarantee you almost always the donor looks at the last place they gave, which is $100. They're very comfortable with that. Going from there to 110 to 150 in that range there almost feels natural, and they almost always do it. So what you're doing is you're elevating your return on your investment right there in that little tiny thing. So if you want to learn more of those tips, we'll talk about those in future webinars. But today we're going to focus specifically on effective direct mail. So once you have all that stuff, the keys to really good, effective direct mail is in the details. So you want to make sure that also you're leading with a really good list. If your list is not good, if you haven't kept up your database, the results are probably not going to be great either. So poor list leads to wasted resources and a lower ROI. The second piece is a really compelling call to action. So if you were just doing marketing, you want to have some kind of special offer. And for nonprofits, you want to have a clear message about why their gift is going to do something important, and a really good call to action for those folks. The third thing in this list is having something that is an attractive piece that is easy to digest. So creative design and clear messaging. Here, Hippocampus is telling you in their direct mail fundraising appeal letter why they need help. They need $100,000. They gave some bullet points. It's really easy to digest. They bold a couple of lines that tell you specifically what's going on. And they make giving really easy with a rip-off remit coupon and a lot of photos. And then you want to think about timing and frequency. You want to make sure that you're asking at the right time. And for nonprofits, a lot of folks get hung up on whether that's before Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving. I'm going to tell you that a lot of research has been done and shows that most of fundraising happens for nonprofits in the last 3 months. And whether you hit right before or right after Thanksgiving almost doesn't matter. The last 30 days of the month are the most concentrated giving time. So as long as you're getting out before the end of the year, you're probably doing a good job. And you want to make sure that in that campaign, you're asking more than once. And then the last piece of that is tracking and measurement. If you're not tracking what you're doing, how do you know how successful it is? Yes, you're going to be getting gifts coming back to you, but you also want to know if the mail is getting delivered, how people are engaging with it, what you could do differently in the future so that you're making wise choices about how you spend your money. So with all of that I've just talked about, we're going to now introduce to you a product, Boone Mail Plus, that can help elevate that engagement. And so I'm going to turn this over to Terry, who's my co-host today. He's our subject matter expert on Boone Mail Plus, and he's going to talk to you all about omnichannel marketing and what the challenges are here, and then how do we overcome those challenges with this tool. So Terry, thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you, Rob, and thanks everybody for joining us today. Rob did a really good job of talking about some of the benefits of direct mail, right? The fact that we can personalize it, it gets a really great response rate. There's less competition in the mail, but there are some challenges that come along with direct marketing, right? So one is changing consumer behavior. So we're no longer in the days of receiving 15 to 20 different pieces of direct mail on a daily basis, right? We might receive 2 or 3. So the ROI has continued to increase. But one thing that has changed over the past 10 to 15 years is the way that people actually make those donations or actually complete that conversion process. So we really need to be able to reach them where they are and give them the opportunity to make those donations in whatever manner is actually comfortable for them. Okay. Now, I'm sure the most of you on the line today are using multiple channels, right? Whether it be direct mail, radio, TV, digital. Okay. And first of all, we're not trying to replace anything that you're currently doing as far as digital marketing. If you guys are using these channels and they're working, you should continue to do so. What we're going to talk about today really is a direct mail centric product where we're just using some of those different enhancement features to increase and track and improve those response rates. So while a lot of companies are using different channels, what they have had a challenge is integrating those channels where they can reach the same audience and have that cohesive messaging. And with direct mail being an offline marketing channel, it does tend to lend itself to making it very difficult to be able to track and prove attribution from. One that's really been a challenge in the last 5 to 10 years because of these rules and regulations changing year over year is data privacy and security. So through this platform today, we actually have a way to help you out with some of those challenges. And we do it by using an omni-channel marketing solution, right? So you can see some of these statistics here, which we'll be able to provide you with this deck so you can review some of this data. But coordinating digital and direct mail campaigns, we can increase the number of website visits that you get by about 68%, right? Direct mail already gets an amazing ROI with 79% of executives ranking it as their best performing channel. We can also increase that purchase frequency or donation frequency, okay? And we can also generate more leads, right? New leads, new donors, that is the lifeblood of any organization or any nonprofit organization. So we have ways to help you actually acquire new donors as well. So as Rob said, I'm actually the product specialist for our Boone Mail Plus solution. And in its purest and most simple form, it's just a way for us to track the effectiveness and lift those results on your direct mail campaign. We are using that omni-channel approach. So we're going to take that same marketing message, same imagery, same ask, and we're going to use it across multiple channels. And the most important part about that is we're going to do it to the exact same audience, right? That audience being that really qualified mailing list that you already have or that we help you build out. And what we're able to do through Boone Mail Plus is we can actually take that one impression and turn it into either 8 to 16 impressions per piece or even 16 to 32 impressions per piece. So with Boone Mail Plus, we have 4 different bundled solutions where we group these different technologies, which we charge on a per piece basis, right? And based upon your goals, who you're trying to reach in your organization, we'll be able to make a recommendation on which of these bundled solutions best fit your needs. Okay, so if we mail out 10,000 direct mail pieces, we'll be able to get you 80,000 to 320,000 impressions across these different channels. And by doing so, what we've seen on average, reporting back from our nonprofits, is a 23 to 46% lift in results over what they were seeing when they were just running traditional direct mail efforts, right? And getting that one impression to that one individual, just huge, right? It gives you an opportunity to take advantage of every opportunity from that qualified list. Another huge benefit and reasons that we've been so successful in the nonprofit space with this particular platform is not only the ease of use, because we do actually help you set up the campaigns from the creative, the setup on the site, right, and implementing all of these different strategies, but also the transparency of the results. So we do have a dashboard that we'll be able to provide you and anyone else access within your organization, where you can actually go in and you can view the results of your campaign in real time, as well as previous campaigns that you've run. So you'll be able to view high level KPIs. So numbers like total ad displays across all of the channels that we're using, total engagements, which can be a call, a text, a click, a QR code scan. So any sort of response that we receive as a result of this campaign. Total leads, which I'll go through later on in this slide deck and explain what that means. And we even have what's called an attribution feature. So there's several technologies throughout this presentation that we can not only identify that, hey, this was a response from this marketing campaign and from this specific technology, but we can actually tie it back to an individual and say that, hey, it was this person that responded through this channel on this date, and tell you who it was as well. As you guys know, just because someone does scan a QR code or clicks on an ad, it doesn't necessarily mean that they donated. So it's really important for us to not only identify the number of responses, but also who these people are, because they have raised their hand and expressed a high level of interest in your organization and making that donation. So I talked about us having 4 different bundled solutions that you have an option to use. Our first one is our core 8 technologies, right, which is actually our first platform that we created. So all 8 of these technologies will be included in this package. Now, from a timing perspective, the way that our campaigns run is they do run for a total of 30 days. And that 30-day clock, it starts on the date that we physically drop the mail off at USPS to be distributed and sent out. Now, keep in mind, when I say 30 days, I do mean from each drop. So for example, a lot of you guys are running multi-drop campaigns to the same or similar audience. So say we mail once today, again on day 15, and then again on day 30. Well, that will be a 60-day campaign because it's 30 days from each drop. The first of those technologies that's going to deploy is going to be Social Match. Now, this is run through both Facebook as well as Instagram. So what we do is we take the mailing list information, upload that information into Meta, being Facebook and Instagram, identify the social media accounts of those mail recipients, and then we start to serve them up ads through both Facebook as well as Instagram. Now, through our original 8, this channel will run for the first 14 days of that campaign. So our primary goal with Social Match is to create brand awareness, right? Brand recognition, right? Around that ask, around that creative that's being used, making it more likely for that individual to respond and in the end, actually donate from the mail piece itself. So we're going to show these ads before the mail arrives, on the day of, and even a week or so after. Okay.
And Terry, they don't need to have email addresses for us to be able to match these to their social. Is that correct?
You do not. We can do this simply off of first name, last name, and address. Now, if you do have the email address, definitely provide it, right? The more information that we can provide to Meta, the better opportunity that we have to actually reach them and show them that advertisement, but it is not required. I would say on about 95% of the list that we run Social Match on, we do not have that additional data, okay?
I just asked that because I know previously as a development person, that's one of the hardest things is keeping track of people's email addresses and always having that up to date in your database. And so other campaigns like this, it's one of those things that could be a barrier, but it's not here.
Nope, not a barrier here. And I showed you some of the high level KPIs that you could view, right? So things like total ad displays, total engagements, right? But you also have the ability to dive into each of these technologies that we're using on an individual level to see how it's performing. So when we go into the social match portion of the dashboard, you can see information on the number of accounts that we were able to reach, right, as far as show ads to. And that's just through this one technology, of course. We can see our total ad display to that audience, our click-through rate, total clicks, total ad views per day. We can filter these results by mailing list. There are multiple lists being run within that campaign. And we can also filter these clicks by demographic. So we can actually filter them by gender and or age range, which becomes extremely valuable, especially on a prospecting list, right? If we can see that these are the demographics are most likely to engage and that are clicking through, it'll help us when we go to build out those future lists moving forward, and we know who to target and who is responding to that messaging. Next technology being mail tracking. So first and foremost, you guys are paying for a direct mail campaign. So we do want to make sure that that mail piece, it is reaching its intended audience. So looking into the dashboard, you will be able to see information like when the mail is projected to reach the mailbox, when it's confirmed to have reached, the percentage that's been delivered. There's a Google Maps integration where you can scroll down to a street level view to see when and where it's being delivered. The mailing list is on the bottom right with all of that mailing list information, right? So name, address, date that it was mailed, date that it was delivered. And we can filter these results by city, state, county, zip code, or all the way down to a per piece level.
And
Now,
for those of you online, just so you know, mail tracking comes with all of your jobs currently. So if you're doing a direct mail campaign with us, whether you're doing Boone Mail Plus or not, you're still going to get access to this dashboard where you're going to be able to see mail tracking at a minimum. It's just part of our standard information that we share with you.
yeah, and that's really important, right? Because there's other benefits to mail tracking, right? If it's not just the comfort knowing that it's been delivered. If we know when it has been delivered or when it's projected to be delivered, we can be ready for that influx in phone calls or web traffic or donations coming in. Not to mention, I'm sure a lot of you guys are consistently mailing to house lists where you do have additional data points, maybe not on the full list, but on a good percentage of it, like email addresses. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys are running additional marketing campaigns through these channels to that target audience. So you can even use this data when sending out that triggered email. So for example, if you can see that this mail, most of it's projected to deliver next Wednesday, maybe send out an email blast the day of or the day after that references the mail piece and the ask that's being included. So what that allows it to do is they kind of feed and benefit off of each other. Okay. Our next technology being QR codes. So with our QR code system, we have two different options as far as type of QR codes that we can use. The first one being we can use just a static QR code. So the benefit being we give those individuals an additional way to respond, but the QR code's the same on each and every mail piece. So we can only see aggregate reporting, right? Knowing how many scans, but not who. The second option, which I really love, is the utilization of personalized QR codes. So in that case, every single mail piece has its own unique identifiable QR code. And now in the reporting, we can not only see the number of scans, but we can identify who from that mailing list scanned that QR code. We can see a time and date of each scan, the location, even the device type they were on when they made that QR code scan. As we talked about, just because someone scans a QR code doesn't necessarily mean that they completed that donation or that conversion process, right? But that's a high intent action. Somebody pulled out their phone, got on their camera, right? Hovered over it, scanned a QR code. That does express a high level of interest in your organization. And even if that donation was not made, now we know that the engagement took place and we can follow up with them, whether it be through a retargeted direct mail piece, or if you have additional channels, sending them a follow-up email. Another thing that we can do as well, which we had just recently added, is we can even personalize that QR code a bit for you. So we can actually add your logo and then embed that into the QR code if you'd like. Next tech being informed delivery. So I'm sure that at least a third of you guys on the call today are signed up for informed delivery. For you guys that are not familiar with this technology, this is a free service that you can sign up for through the post office. And what it is it's really just a digital way for you to check your mailbox. So anyone that's signed up for this service, which over 62 million people in the US are, you'll receive an email from USPS each and every morning. And usually what you'll be able to view is just a gray scale, like the one on the left, image of what's going to be delivered to your mailbox that day. What we do is we add a full color ride along image that has a clickable link that will go right to that landing or donation page on the website. It's just another impression, right? It's another great opportunity for us to get in front of that audience even before the mail arrives, while at the same time giving them and providing them with an additional way to respond by clicking on the link. Now, through the reporting, we can see the total number of emails that were sent out. We can see the open rate. We can see the click-through rate. One thing that is proprietary to our system is that we do an automatic matchback report to what USPS sends us in relation to the mailing list information. So what that means is we can tell you in relation to mailing list information, first name, last name, address, who received it, who opened it, and more importantly, who actually clicked on that informed delivery alert. Now, call tracking, and we even have a text feature included in this, is definitely more of an attribution feature more than anything else, right? We want to be able to prove and actually see how effective this campaign was, and we want it to be easily and have those results available to us. So through this feature, we can provide you with either a toll-free phone number or a local area code, local to your area code, or possibly the one that you're mailing to, for example. And it's really just a vanity number that's not going to display anywhere other than the direct mail piece itself. But that phone number, it will transfer directly to whatever phone line that you want that campaign to go to. So that way, every single call or text that comes in from that mail piece, it will be tracked. So in the dashboard, you'll be able to see the time and date of the call or text, the phone number, name, address, whether it's a landline or cell phone, age range, gender data. All of these calls are also automatically recorded where you and only you can go into your end of the dashboard, review these calls for quality assurance purposes, maybe figure out how to increase those donations, for example. Now, with the texting feature, it's not a situation where you're providing us with donor phone numbers and we're sending out outbound text messages. This is more of a text response system. So we can put on the direct mail piece, say, call or text, donate to this number. They text and donate. We then send back a fixed response, whatever you want that response to be in text message form. Ideally, of course, including that link to that donation page where they can easily convert and make that donation on the website. We really just love the idea of giving them multiple ways to respond, right? To be able to call in or text in or scan a QR code or go to the website. And for us to have some sort of tracking component on the back end to prove exactly how successful that this campaign was. Now, the next technology being online follow. Now, this is all of those Google display advertisements, and there's actually a couple of different things that we're doing through the Google display through this one feature. So the first one is called Google Match, which is very similar to the functionality of Social Match, where we're uploading that mailing list information into Google. Google is able to identify the devices of those individuals and then serve them up ads all across the Google display network for the entire 30 days of that campaign. Okay. The second thing that we're doing is we're remarketing across the Google display network. Already talked about it. Just because someone visits the site doesn't mean that they actually donated. So they come to the site, pick up a code that gets attached to their device, and now they're eligible to see those remarketing ads show up all across the Google display network, which covers about 90% of the internet. So a lot of different sites and different places that we can keep these advertisements at top of mind to get them to go back to the site, remind them so they go back and make that donation, of course. And we'll be able to show you the total number of unique visitors. So our marketing funnel for the Google Display Network, people that came to the site, picked up the code that are eligible to see these follow-up ads. We can view our total ad display to that audience, our click-through rates, total clicks, total ad views per day. The next tech being social media follow-up. Same concept as online follow-up, right? They come to the website or a specific page, donation page that we're tracking, pick up that code that gets attached to their Facebook and their Instagram account. And now they're eligible to see your remarketing ads show up through both of those channels. Social is great because we can show these ads not only across multiple channels, being Facebook and Instagram, but we can also display them across multiple devices. So we really are, through remarketing, able to inundate a small number of really qualified individuals, people that have already displayed interest, with a large number of advertisements for the life of that campaign. And again, we can see our total ad displays, our click-through rates, total clicks, total ad views per day. And just like through Social Match, we can filter these clicks by demographics, so gender and or age range. Now, the last technology, and definitely the most proprietary of our original 8, is going to be lead match. So what lead match is it's really just a pixel, just a piece of code that we provide you to place on the website. And what this code does is it uses different data points, like an IP address, device ID. Every device has basically its own unique fingerprint, location data. And then using those different data points, we can identify the residential address of an anonymous website visitor. Now, of course, we can't identify 100% of website visitors. On average, we might identify 20 to 30%. So if you get 100 unique visitors, we might identify 20 to 30 of those residential addresses. So using this data, we do use it to help prove attribution. I do emphasize help because we can't identify everyone, but we do provide you with a match rate. So using the example on the screen, we can say through this pixel, we were able to identify 78 addresses of people that came to your site that are also on that mailing list. Now, with that being said, there are going to be a lot of people that come to your site from other sources, right? Whether it be organic website traffic, other marketing campaigns that you're running, maybe an event, for example, people you may not have any contact information on. So those addresses we capture that are not on the list are going to show up as a lead. So when you look into the dashboard, you'll be able to see information as far as the total number of leads and the total number of matches. If you do decide to purchase or download this data, we'll give you not only the aggregate information, but in the address, but we'll also show you information on what they were doing while they were on your site, how many times they visited, the top 5 URLs that they visited, and the amount of time that was spent on each page. So the biggest value in lead match is if we can see that, hey, this person from this address spent 1 minute and 30 seconds on the volunteer page or the financial aids page or the, looking to utilize some of the services that you provide. We know exactly what they're interested in. And now we have the ability to remarket and retarget them with a physical direct mail piece. And we can even personalize it based upon their interest and exactly what they were viewing while they were on the site. So this can even benefit some of your other marketing campaigns that you guys are deploying, right? So a Google Analytics report will tell you where that website traffic is coming from, the actions being taken by those website visitors, but there is no unique identifier. And we already kind of talked about it. The lifeblood of any nonprofit is the new donors. We have to continue to acquire those new donors, right? Because we are going to lose some as the years go on. So this will help us build out that qualified list and possibly capture additional people that have interest in our organization and that are willing to donate. Now, for those of you that are joining this call today, we can actually set up what we call a lead match only campaign and use this as a standalone feature. We can place it to track the entire website or even a specific page or pages. We are going to provide this pixel for you for no additional cost, where we can start to capture some of that data. And then whether you decide to download it will be totally optional, where we can run retargeted direct mail or add that to that next upcoming campaign that you're deploying. Now, the next is actually our expansion program. So this is specifically for those nonprofits that are not only looking to reach that targeted list, but are looking to obviously grow that donor base and reach that audience that are similar, like-minded individuals within a similar location, for example. So as you can see, we still have the original 8, which are hyper-focused on that qualified list, but we do add 4 additional features. So we can actually run ads on YouTube, which will start before the video, in the middle of the video. We normally recommend them being 15 to 30 seconds long, kind of short, sweet, to the point. Really great way to create awareness around your organization and explain exactly what you do and how you actually benefit and where their donations would go. Second being demand gen. This is a 3-for-1. These will display on the YouTube homepage. They'll show in the promotions tab of a Gmail account, kind of like an email marketing campaign. And they'll also show up on the Google Discover feed. So if you're on your cell phone and you go to google.com and scroll down, we can place advertisements there. And then we'll also be doing geo-targeting on Google, through Google Display Network, and geo-targeting on social. So through all 4 of these additional channels, we'll be basically targeting the same way. So first and foremost, based upon location, right? Either the areas in and around where we mailed, or we can even expand upon that and reach other areas from a digital perspective. Search and browsing history, right? They've looked up something related to your organization or other organizations like yours, right? But we can also overlay this targeting parameters based upon demographic information, whether that be gender, right? Age range, income level. So there's a lot of ways for us to reach additional people outside of that mailing list and bring them into your world and turn them into potential donors as well.
And I would just want to mention one thing, Terry, as you've been going through all of this, we're talking about a lot of technologies, and a lot of them revolve around designing or setting up some kind of social media ad or a Google display ad or informed delivery, a ride along piece. And it could sound a little bit overwhelming. And I want to let people know that we can not only help you design your direct mail piece, but we can also set all these pieces up for you. We can design the ads for you. We can do all the setup part of that. So you may not have the capacity within your organization to build all these pieces. We can build them for you.
Yeah, good point. Because there's, especially in nonprofits, there's a lot of times there's people that are wearing multiple hats, right? You guys are doing a lot of different things. So we really do help out with the execution, from the ad creation, the setup, and the dashboard. We really do turn it into kind of a turnkey solution where we can execute through all of these different channels on your behalf.
Yeah, there was a lot of times I was a 2 or 3 person development office, and we couldn't even imagine taking on something like this because we didn't have the bandwidth. So knowing that Boone can help with all of that is probably really good.
Now, the next solution being our target match program. Okay, so this is the complete opposite of expansion, because this is as hyper focused as you can get on the mailing list. This is like your purest form of one-to-one digital in relation to that qualified list, because all of these ads are either displayed at a user or at a household level. So you can see some of the technologies are the same, right? So we're still getting mail tracking, informed delivery, call and text, and lead match, social match, but instead of for just the first 14 days, we're running it for the entire 30. Okay, so instead of just creating awareness in and around that mail drop, we're going to identify those social media accounts and serve them up ads for the entire 30 days of that campaign. But the biggest difference is the added technology of addressable geofencing. So through addressable geo, this will allow us to geofence the residential address of each and every mail recipient, and then serve them up ads to any device that's within that household and connected to the internet. So whether they're on a cell phone, home computer, tablet, or even a connected TV that's connected to the internet and within that household, we can potentially reach them on over 200 different display networks. So virtually anywhere and everywhere they visit while they're online. Now, These ads will run for the entire 30 days. So before the mail arrives, on the day of, and even weeks after, serving up as reminders. Now, this is not IP-based targeting. Okay, this is us actually using verified GPS data, like public available information, for example, latitude and longitude lines of an address, to map out these addresses and serve up those ads across these different display networks. Also, the reporting is very comprehensive. So we can see high level reporting, like the total number of impressions to that audience, how many devices we were able to reach within those households, total clicks, click-through rate percentage, average number of impressions displayed to those devices, which is our frequency. And one benefit to addressable geo is there's also multiple ways for us to be able to prove conversion, being on-site and off-site. So an on-site conversion, we provide you with a conversion pixel. So if someone goes to the site from one of these ads or from one of those addresses and makes that donation or completes that conversion process, that will show up in the reporting as a weighted action. Now, we do work with a lot of nonprofits that hold events. So their goal is to actually get that individual to attend an actual event that's in person. In that case, we've actually geofenced not only their address, but where that event is being held to turn that into our conversion zone. So we could track that that device was in that household, also came to that event, proving offline conversions as well. This just shows you some of the data as far as demographic information on the audience. So age range, gender, income level. So a lot of data that we can share on the audience we're displaying those ads to as well. So through Target Match, 8 to 16 hyper-focused really allows us to hyper-focus on that mailing list and get that lift in response rate. Now, the last one is going to be Target Match Plus. So this is kind of like your all-encompassing digital on top of a direct mail program, because it does include all of the original 8. Plus, we're going to have that addressable geofencing feature as well. So there's a ton of outbound advertisements. So what I mean by that is advertisements that didn't require any sort of action for them to see it. The mail piece itself, the addressable geofencing ad, social match, informed delivery to bring them into our marketing funnel. And then once they're there, if they didn't convert, we're able to push them down that funnel into that conversion by following up with them through online follow-up, remarketing through Google, remarketing through social. And if we do capture that address, we can even remarket with a follow-up direct mail piece as well. Now, there is one additional feature that we can add on to any of these bundled solutions, especially in the nonprofit space. You guys are mailing to house lists where a good percentage of that list, you might have additional data points like an email address. And a lot of you guys are executing these campaigns on your own. So if you guys are doing it on your own, it's working well. We would love you to continue to do so. But if you do need a little bit of help or want to add this on top of it, we can also use our mail delivery notification system, which is actually like a cross between a fully customized, personalized email marketing campaign and what informed delivery is. So it's actually triggered off of mail tracking. Okay, so we can choose to send out an email the day before the mail arrives, the day after, or both. So it is a maximum of 2 emails sent per recipient. And of course, we can customize what's included in the subject line, the body. We can add imagery into that email, of course. And then through the dashboard, we'll have all of the data and reporting in one place. So we can see the emails that were sent out. We can see the number of them that were opened, the number of clicks, and we can actually tell you who from that mailing list clicked on any of these email alerts as well. Now, of course, the proof is in the pudding. We work with a lot of nonprofits, so I did want to include a couple of our nonprofit case studies that we have as well. So the first one is from Encore, and what they did was they ran a year-long campaign where they mailed monthly to not only a house list, but they included some prospects in multiple of those lists as well. And what they were doing is on a monthly basis, they were sending out a mail campaign, which was a mix of prospects and house list. But on a monthly basis, they were also downloading those leads and running retargeted direct mail to those individuals that weren't on the list that came to the site as well. So within a year, they ran this for a year, they had a 25% increase in giving from what they saw the previous year, generated close to 6,800 first-time donors, which was huge for them. And they converted 5,400 lapsed donors. So these were individuals that had not donated in the previous 3 years. Okay. Now, they do have a monthly plan, right? People that are making monthly donations. So they increased the number of monthly donors by 78% just in that year's time. So hugely successful. This case study is actually from 2022, and they've continued to use this platform since then. The next one is actually for a museum in St. Louis. And what they did was they completed 4 drops, okay, of 260,000 total pieces. And 4 drops it was about a week apart. Okay, so this actually ended up being a 60-day campaign using the Omnichannel Marketing solution because it is 30 days from each drop. And what they saw was they raised $21 million, which was a 16% increase over what their goal was. And that 16% increase, that $21 million, was actually a 30% increase over what they saw the year prior. The only thing that either one of these organizations changed was using this omni-channel solution over what they had done the previous year as well. But overall, like I said, our primary goal, take that one impression, right? Turn it into either 8 to 16 or even 16 to 32. Reach that target qualified audience across multiple channels and devices, execute all of these different marketing strategies directly through us, and give you access to the data and reporting, of course. So now I'll turn it back over to Rob.
Thank you. Let's see if we can advance. I'm going to see if I can get this to work this time. These
All right,
advances
shoot.
don't work. Maybe you can do it for me. Can we
Now
get
it's
that
loading.
next slide?
We go back to share.
Technology.
Yeah, Zoom tried to shut down on me. Sorry.
No worries. All right, we just need that next slide. Maybe. And even if we don't get them, I know what's on the slides. So I can, there we go, right there.
There you go.
The couple of things that I wanted to say is first, Terry, thank you for that really good explanation of all the technologies. And if people have questions, you can raise your hand on the list here and I can let you ask that question. But I also wanted to mention that, like I said, I do a year-end fundraising campaign webinar and in-person lunch and learn, and I will be sending out invites to that. But there's also this booklet that you could get if you're interested in it, this little booklet here that gives a lot of the principles that are in that webinar. I'm happy to send that out to folks. And then we also have one on direct mail fundraising, which is really good, which is, I think, on the next slide, that you can go directly to the website and download if you'd like. And that's available. Let's see if we can advance that slide. There we go. And that's at boonegraphics.net /mail plus. But I want to thank everybody for joining us today and learning about this technology. Again, it is a lot of information. So I don't expect anybody to have fully digested all the information here. But if you're interested in any of this and you think that it might be something that you'd like to try with your next campaign, give us a call. I'm happy to talk to you about your fundraising strategy and how you can achieve the best results, but also how this technology might be able to lift the ROI on those campaigns. So again, I want to thank everybody for attending and Terry for being such a good co-host today.
All right. Thanks, everybody.